We will continue with the reading for this morning. As has been noticed, we have the Global Vision, and it is my honor to be able to read to you for the first time the entirety of the Global Vision statement. We see a world that works for everyone, where all life is honored as expressions of the divine, where people live according to spiritual truth, where humanity awakens to spiritual magnificence, where humanity rediscovers personal creative power, where we live as one global family, where kinship with all life prospers, where unity and connection is emphasized, and where forgiveness is the norm, where spiritual guidance is valued, where we are called to conscious social action, where people have enough food, homes, and a sense of belonging, where there is peace, harmony, and justice for all, where resources are valued, cared for, and shared, where communities are meaningfully involved in service to the world, where there is a renewed emphasis on beauty, nature, creativity, art, and aesthetics. We see a world that works for everyone.
So perhaps someday we can imagine. And today is the day. Today is the day we're going to talk about this kind of a world and the possibility of this kind of a world. We're beginning a new year, and we're beginning a new yearly theme. And you heard Marianne tell us that that theme is the global vision, a world that works for everyone. And then you had the opportunity to hear Betty describe what that vision is. Now, what we are really talking about is when we're talking about the global vision, is the vision of our organization, the Centers for Spiritual Living. So I thought I would give you just a little bit of background so that you can feel more connected to this whole idea and the process that occurred. So how this came about was the CSL, Cultural Integrity and Evolution Committee. Doesn't that sound serious and important? The CSL, Cultural Integrity and Evolution Committee, had a vision. And their vision was to create a year-long program based on a combination of Ernest Holmes' What We Believe statements and the Global Heart Vision. So the What We Believe statements are over there on the right, and what's on the left is actually the Global Vision. The Global Heart Vision is a larger, more expansive piece of work, and they blended them together to create the Global Vision. And out of that then came all of the monthly themes. So January, a world that works for everyone. February, awakening to our spiritual magnificence. March, realizing the power of mind. April, kinship with all life. May, spiritual guidance and personal responsibility. June, freedom from discord. July, loving kindness and forgiveness. August, beauty, nature, art, and aesthetics. September, service to the world. October, global transformation through individual transformation. November, wholeness. And December, the living spirit. So the really darker letters there are all represented throughout the year. So throughout the year, we're going to be taking a deeper dive into this vision called the Global Vision, a world that works for everyone. And the truth is that we are joining 128 other centers for spiritual living across the globe that are stepping into this vision in 2016. So just know that, we are a larger community, larger than even this community, that is about changing the world. And that having this vision, as I'm going to talk about, brings that into form. So Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, the spiritual director for the Centers for Spiritual Living, says, we know that this vision that is being put forward of a world that works for everyone cannot be encapsulated within anyone's consciousness or idea that they have right now. But what we do know about the state of mind, the state of intelligence, the state of consciousness that each and every single one of us has is that when we lay something before us and put it out in front of us, and when we provide ourselves with the faith to know that it will become a reality, that everything that is necessary to bring it into fruition automatically happens, and it comes into being. It's the way that it works. So Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon says, we know that this vision that is being put forward of a world that works for everyone cannot be encapsulated within anyone's consciousness or idea that they have right now. And therein, I believe, is the challenge. So I believe that in order to step powerfully into this challenge, I think that we need to start with a fresh look at the theme itself, the global vision. Now, global is a word, it's an adjective, which means comprehensive, inclusive, unbounded, unlimited, universal, and sweeping. We're not just talking about a little vision here. We are talking about something that is sweeping, not just someone's little imagination gone wild, but an expansive vision for the entire world. A vision that is important, significant, relevant, and necessary. And I believe a vision whose time has come. A vision whose time has come. The word global also means of, or pertaining to, or involving the whole world. Now, what I know about the whole world is that all of it, the seen and the unseen, was created by God, out of God's substance. God is all that there is, and it is that which is back of everything in the manifest universe. It is the creative cause back of and within everything. Now, traditionally, in Centers for Spiritual Living across the globe, January has been the month in which we go back to the basics, in which we remind ourselves what Ernest Holmes has to say about the thing itself, the way it works, and how we use it. Now, the Reader's Digest version is this: the thing itself is God. God is love and law. And in the teaching of the science of mind, we have 10 core concepts. Now, the first core concept is God is, and God is all that there is. In the beginning, God, and out of that God substance came everything else. It had to be that way because there was nothing else. Ernest Holmes says, we believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in all people, and that all people are incarnations of the one Spirit. So therefore, we believe that every human being is a creation of God, made of God's substance, a unique and divine expression of the divine. This essence, this power, is in everything and everyone. If God is all that there is, then absolutely everyone is an incarnation of God. No one is excluded. There is not a spot where God is not. Ernest Holmes also says, we believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. So God is not some man with a long white beard that's outside of us, outside of ourselves. It is a presence, a power, a consciousness that is within us, within all of us, within all of life. And not just a little bit of God over here and a little bit of God over here, but like a hologram, in its fullness and wholeness everywhere, everywhere in its fullness. Ernest Holmes also says, we believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. God is within us and surrounds us. We are immersed in God, and God is flowing through us. And through our intuition, that little small voice that we often hear, we can perceive and commune with and directly reveal God. We need no intercessory. How do you say that? Yes. We have our own personal connection with God. Now, the second core concept of the science of mind says that God is threefold, triune in nature, having three aspects or modes of being within the one. There is spirit, soul, and body. Now, some of you might recognize this as the science of mind teaching symbol. Now, spirit is the self-knowing, spontaneous, reasoning, and volitional aspect of God. It is the very essence of peace, of joy, of creativity, of abundance, of wisdom, and of grace. The presence of spirit is the guiding force, the guiding idea behind and cause of everything that exists. In a seed, soil, plant analogy that we use, spirit is the seed. Now, the soul, or universal law, is the unformed substance or energy from which all things are formed. It is the doing side of life. The doing side of life is the creative power of God, and it operates in accordance with the spiritual law. Now, this universal law, or a spiritual law, works like all other laws in nature. If you've been coming to the center for any length of time, you've probably heard someone describe this spiritual law by talking about electricity or gravity. That there are certain laws in the physical world that we use and that work the same way every time for everyone, without exception. Now, gravity will hold a piano in place just as easily as it will hold a piece of paper in place. And electricity will light a room just as easily as it will light a castle. There's no judgment as to why or what. It just does what we ask it to do. So you could turn on the stove in your kitchen to cook a meal, or you could take the stove and you could put it in your living room and turn it on to heat up the house. Now, in the summer, this might be all fine and dandy, or in the winter, it might be all fine and dandy, but in the summer, it could get quite uncomfortable. But the electricity doesn't care. It's not going to question you. It just says yes and does whatever you ask it to do. The spiritual laws are exactly like that. We look at, in that seed, soil, plant, this is the soil. So whatever seed is planted into that soil is what comes out. The soil doesn't say, nah, I'm not kind of interested in doing carrots today. I think maybe I'll do a tomato. No, it just takes what you put in and creates from it. And here at the bottom is the body, and the third aspect of God is the body, which is all of the individualized expressions of God in form. So that's us. That's our bodies. That's our work. That's our job. That's the trees. That's the animal. That's the plants, the stars, the planets. All manifest universe is the body of God. Now, Ernest Holmes says there is a power for good in the universe available to everyone, and you can use this power for good in your life. We have within us a power that is greater than anything we shall ever contact in the outer, a power that can overcome every obstacle in our life. We have as much of this power to use in our daily life as we can believe in and can embody. The law always responds to your thoughts. Jesus said, "It is done unto you as you believe." Therefore, consciously or unconsciously, behind every condition, behind every experience, there was a thought backed by a feeling, by an emotion, and by faith. So, by understanding and consciously using this law, you can create any experience that you want in your life and let go of the experiences that you don't want. Can you see how this would be useful to us in creating a world that works for everyone? Everybody got global down? We're all on the same page? All right. Let's talk a little bit about vision. Vision. The dictionary defines vision in a number of different ways. One of them is the act of seeing. And the other is something that you imagine. Something that you imagine, a picture that you see in your mind's eye that often involves unusual discernment or foresight. In Charles Fillmore's book, The Revealing Word, he defines vision from a metaphysical perspective. And he says it's seeing God as the foundation of all, the source of all, and the substance of all. Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that as we look out on the world from our human eyes, we're going to see something very different than if we look out on the world really firmly grounded in this idea that God is the substance of all. God is the foundation of all. God is the source of all. What we see from that place will be much different. And the truth is, it's not really about seeing what is when you're seeing from that place, but you're seeing what is possible. You're seeing what is possible. It is not about vision as the act of seeing, but about our ability to envision. And envision suggests that the formation of an idea in one's mind. The formation of an idea in one's mind, and imagining often unrestrained by reality. So what we can envision doesn't have to have anything to do with what we see with our human eyes, with this idea of reality. That it is often spurred on by desire or by divine inner discontent or by a divine inner urge. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry says a rock pile ceases to be a rock pile the moment a single man contemplates it, bearing within him the image of a cathedral. This is to envision, to vision. It is not about sight, it's about insight. It is about vision. To have a vision means to have the ability to see beyond what the human eye perceives, to see beyond what we are experiencing. Ernest Holmes says, there is a tendency on the part of all of us to reproduce the accumulative, subjective experiences of the human race. Now we do this by continually putting our attention on what is wrong, on what is missing, on what is not working. And then through the action of the law, whatever we put our attention on, whatever we think about, becomes the experience of our lives. So the more we think about what we do not want to happen, the more it becomes the experience of our life. Can you see this? Now the truth is that all great social change or technological advances or amazing inventions were created by people with vision. By people able to look beyond the current experience of the world, by people that were able to look beyond the race-conscious ideas and to think a brand new idea. Now, it's not about denying what is or ignoring the unpleasantness. It's about giving your attention to the solution rather than the problem. Think about John Kennedy or Gandhi or Martin Luther King or Thomas Edison or the Wright brothers or any other people whose vision has completely changed the world forever. Now, while they were extraordinary people in history, they were not extraordinary people. They were ordinary people with an extraordinary vision. And we all have that capacity. We all have that capacity within us to think a new thought. We all have that capacity within us to picture a new thought in our mind's eye and to use the power of our word, the power of our faith, to cause it to come into being. Norman Vincent Peale says, "No matter how dark things seem to be or actually are, raise your sights and see the possibilities. Always see them, for they are always there." We live in a universe of unlimited possibilities. And when we stand firmly grounded in the truth of who we are, a spiritual being, having a human incarnation, anything is possible. Anything is possible. The possibilities are endless. There is nothing too big or too small in God. Ernest Holmes says, "When anyone conceives of a new idea, which is in accordance with the divine nature, then God itself is going forth anew into creation through that individual. And that person may and should expect that all the power and all the presence that there is will creatively flow through this individual." Expect it. Just expect it. It is the way that the law works. It always says yes. The truth is that we're always using this power and presence, that our thoughts and our feelings and our beliefs are always creating, whether we do so consciously or unconsciously. So the invitation today is to begin to be more conscious about that which you are asking it to create. Instead of creating from the level of the problem, begin to create from a higher view, a loftier idea, from a vision that is in alignment with God, in alignment with unconditional love, in alignment with the peace that passes all understanding, in alignment with unlimited joy, in alignment with boundless abundance. When you create from a space that is in alignment with God, then anything is possible. Now, in order to do this in regards to the global vision, the question we should be asking ourselves this morning is, when you look at the world, what do you see? Do you see homelessness, hunger, lack, and limitation? Or can you, by aligning with the abundance that is the presence of God itself, envision a world of generous and continuous sharing of heart and resources. When you look at the world, what do you see? Do you see separation and loneliness? Or can you, by aligning with the wisdom that is the presence of God itself, envision a world in which fellowship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience? When you look at the world, what do you see? Do you see the perpetuation of violence, or can you, by aligning with the acceptance and respect that the presence of God is itself, envision a world where forgiveness is the norm? What do you see when you look at the world? Do you see power struggles and war? Or can you, by aligning with the unconditional love that is the very presence of God itself, envision a world in which borders are irrelevant? When you look out at the world, what do you see? Do you see disenfranchisement, or can you, by aligning with the wholeness that is the presence of God itself, envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life? Helen Keller says, "It is a terrible thing to see and not have vision." You may be wondering, what does this matter? Well, the truth is that our vision influences what we see. Anything and everything is possible, but all possibility lives within a wave of possibility, and it must be observed before it can collapse into a particle, before it can come into being. This is quantum physics. So without our looking at it, without our turning our attention and intention upon it, it simply remains a possibility. It's up to us to turn our attention to it, which is what we are starting today. Tony Dungy, might not know the name, he was a football player at the University of Minnesota when I worked there. The first step toward creating an improved future is developing the ability, developing the ability to envision it. Do you get that if we cannot envision it, it cannot happen? If we cannot envision it, it cannot happen. The global vision, a world that works for everyone, envisioned by the Centers for Spiritual Living, is asking us to step up our game. It is asking us to think a new thought. It is asking us to change our mindset from, "I'll believe it when I see it," to, "I'll see it when I believe it." It is up to us. It is up to us to live the vision, to trust in the creative process, stay grounded in the truth that God is all that there is, and be tenacious in our spiritual practice and in our behavior so that it becomes a reality in the world. And so it is. Amen. So I just invite us to turn within, to allow ourselves to feel that presence that is within us and surrounding us. I know that as I close my eyes, I feel it. I sense it. I know its presence. This power and presence that I call God, that goes by many different names, is one and the same God. There is just one God. And it is not a God that is outside of ourselves, but a God that is within us. Not a God that is vindictive and doles out favors and punishment at whim, but a God that is always for us. I know that this presence of God is a golden thread that weaves itself through all of life, connecting all of us to each other, to the planets, to the stars, to the trees, to the animals, to everything seen and unseen. And it is from this place of unity and wholeness that I speak I speak these words for all of us today. Simply knowing that there is a way that we can live our lives that allows for this idea of a global vision, a world that works for everyone to come into fruition. That we have at our disposal a power, a universal law that works with mechanical regularity to bring about that which we desire, to bring about that which we speak into. And I know that this law works the same way for everyone, that it doesn't question. So that if we are very clear and very conscious about what we ask it to create, asking from a space of vision, not from a space of our human eyes, but from a higher view, that will easily and gracefully come into being. And so I can see with my inner eyes this world that works for all. I recognize it as a possibility, and I call it into being by the power of my word. I know that this is a step that we can take with ease and with grace, that we are guided and guarded along the way by the presence that is within us. And I'm so grateful to know this truth, so grateful to speak these words, so grateful for the power of prayer, knowing that these words are loosed into a law that only ever says yes, that they are made whole, perfect, and complete, even as they are spoken. And so I speak them, and I release them with full expectancy of their manifestation, letting go and letting God be God. And I invite each of us to anchor it for ourselves and for each other by saying, and so it is. Amen.